I am Kim Tracy with the Maxwell James Speaker Agency, back with Dr. T.C. North. We are discussing the 6 steps to mastering fear, and we are now on the 4th step. But before he gets into this, TC is going to go through the big 4 as well as the steps that we've already covered.
Yeah, the big 4, which we collapsed about 32, 33 other fears into fear of failure, fear of success, which is very ubiquitous, and I really liked our discussion on that. The fear of rejection, and rejection can be anything from the typical rejections to, with entrepreneurs, they're always being afraid that their employees are going to reject them if they're if they give them too much critical feedback, or afraid our daughters and sons are going to reject us if we are too hard on them. So fear of rejection has many levels to it. It's not so obvious. And the fear of selling, which includes product, services, and selling our own ideas.
Perfect. And can you recap the first 3 steps that we've already covered?
Yeah, in the 6-step process, first step is identify your fears. Second is to embrace your fears, because you don't want to be afraid of your fears, because then you're feeding fear with fear. And the third is to disidentify that you are not your fear. So it's different than identify your fears. Now you're going, oh no, they're not me. They're not me. They're outside of me. I see them. I can feel them. I can hold them. I can taste them. I can touch them. They're outside of me. I created them with my life. Now I can change that. Which brings us to this step, and this is a really, really powerful step. And even in short workshops, sometimes people have profound awarenesses and profound changes on this next step. And in this step, the 4th step is, what is your worst case scenario? And can you come to peace with it? The goal is to come to peace with it. Find a way that if that happens, you're okay. And when I work with entrepreneurs, I do a lot of work with entrepreneurs and top salespeople. The worst case scenario when I ask them is, okay, my business fails. And I go, well, what does that mean? Well, the next step is, well, then we don't have any money. What does that mean? Well, I have to sell the house. I lose the house. What's that mean? Well, now I'm eating at the soup kitchen and living under the bridge. And the reality is, with somebody like that, somebody who's skilled and smart and has lots to offer the world, they have other opportunities. If the business doesn't work, the worst case scenario, they have other opportunities. It's hardly ever as bad as we think.
Okay.
And that's the point of this process of really understanding the deepest level of your worst case scenario. So I would love to share a story.
Fire away. Love it.
All right, so this is a story way back in the day when I was a psychotherapist. And when I was a psychotherapist, I worked with this incredibly intelligent and charming woman I'm going to call Alice. Alice was a nurse that was afraid that her verbally abusive husband was going to leave her to be with a younger woman who worked in his office. And one day I asked, on a scale of 0 to 10, how distressing is the thought of your husband leaving you? She thought, then said, 10. I asked, if worst case scenario came true and he left you, what would you do? She thought for quite a while and said, I would go work with Doctors Without Borders. This has been a dream of mine for years. And with the realization, Kim, that if her verbally abusive husband would leave her, she could go live her dream, she broke into a smile and carried on and on about how much she wanted to work with Doctors Without Borders. At the end of our session that day, as she was leaving, I asked her, what is your level of distress now about the possibility of your husband leaving you? She said, 0. I said, you aren't thinking about leaving him, are you? She smiled and walked out the door. I never heard from Alice again. So it's an example when she really got underneath and looked at worst case. Not only was it not as bad as she thought, in this particular case, it was actually a great option. So I was always curious what happened with that.
I am sure you are.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this segment. We are going to be doing step number 5 momentarily, so please stay tuned. Thank you so much for doing this, TC.
Great. I love doing this, Kim.